Alrighty, y'all, we're back with some big trucks. That's right. We're talking about why European trucks are different. Okay, we did a video similar to this about Australia. About 2 weeks ago or so? It went really well, and it was really interesting because in Australia they have road trained and these just humongous beast mode trucks with unbelievably long trailers. It's really cool. And they go through the outback and all these places. It's awesome. Now Europe is a whole different scenario. So I would like to learn about some of these trucks. I know they use a lot of cab overs and a lot of different makes than we have here in the United States. But some of them admittedly are pretty damn cool. So let's look at why they're different, how they compare to the US perhaps. And this video has been highly requested from a few people I found on Discord, at least from Andre2500, the suggestion. So thank you so much. And this channel is Yukon. This will be linked in the description down below so you can check it out. I highly encourage you to do so. Let's go.
America, like me, then you're probably familiar with semi-trucks. They're on the highways, the country roads, in downtowns, and more often than not the middle of nowhere. Semis are pretty hard to miss, most being around 70 feet in length, with 53 of those feet just being the trailer. There's a lot of variation in cab size in the US, mostly because there are only laws enforcing the trailer size, not the cab size. This has led to some interesting designs, but one thing you don't often see on the US roads is the cab-over truck design. These were used fairly prominently in the US up until the Motor Carrier Act of 1980, which deregulated the trucking industry and removed the overall length limit for semi-trucks. With nothing left to mandate that truck cabs had to maintain their stubby appearance, manufacturers began to move the engine forward into what is called the standard cab design, as it increased ride comfort and preserved cabin space for the driver's use. Meanwhile in Europe, the overall length regulations remained in place, though
I don't know what it is, but these European trucks are kind of cool, man. They're so different. I think that's part of it, right? They're just different. They look very kind of like sporty and very this is a weird word to say, but very like macho or like masculine. They look cool. I like them.
Place.
The
Though
Scanias
the specific
are nice.
numbers vary.
And those are cool too. Neither of those, you don't see those here in the USA.
Based on country and container type, for the most part semi-trucks, or lorries if you call them that, are limited in length to 18.75 meters or 61.5 feet. This regulatory pressure on manufacturers led to the discontinuing of almost all long-nosed truck designs, but bureaucracy is not the only reason for the cab-over's dominance in Europe. Another reason that cab-overs are preferred in Europe has to do with overall scale and road infrastructure. In places like the US, Australia, or New Zealand, roads tend to be wider, straighter, and easier to navigate.
Because Australian trucks we learned about, and it's cool, New Zealand too, we're of course long nose, really big, and like I said, awesome. But yeah, they definitely, at least visually, more represented a similar aesthetic to the USA trucks, because again, Australia is really big, wide open roads for the most part, right? And of course, you can, for the most part, find that here in the USA as well. Now, Europe, on the other hand, is totally different, very populated, right? And lots of different road types, and I assume, from what I know, smaller roads, lots of cities everywhere. It's just different. I can't picture a big long nose Peterbilt going around, Paris and stuff. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? So that's pretty easy one.
Whereas in Europe, things are a bit more complicated. Europe as a whole is on a smaller scale than many other parts of the world, as the ancient infrastructure was built to be more human-sized than car-sized. As such, there are more narrow streets, tight corners, and complicated docks to back into. One major benefit of the cab-over design is the turning radius, which can afford to be significantly tighter than the standard cabin design. Without a huge nose to worry about, European cabs have an overall shorter wheelbase and a greater range of motion. There are some really great videos online of truckers fitting their massive rigs down some impossibly small roads. I'll link.
I would love to see that. Please tell me in the comments if you would like to see that too. I really would. That's a great idea. I would. You know what? Truck driving is just something that we all take for granted. Like I've always said, I've learned that almost everything you touch on a daily basis came from a truck at some point. It's just one of the most important jobs. I think it's a grueling job, very demanding, and of course you have to do maneuvers in a big truck, like go through tight spaces and back into crazy docks and stuff. Give a hand to the truckers, man. They really, really help the world turn. It's incredible.
to a few in the description below. Another factor which has led to the cabover's success is fuel efficiency, or lack thereof. In the US, where driving distances are longer and speed limits are higher, aerodynamics are a much larger deal, as the efficiency of a fleet can have major impacts on the business which owns it. In Europe, however, distances are shorter and truck speeds are kept slower, which allows for trucks to adopt smaller engines and worry a bit less about aerodynamics. Cabovers also come with plenty of downsides too. For one, they're much less comfortable than a standard size cab, as often you're sitting directly on top of the engine, and since the overall cab size is smaller, living out of your truck is much less feasible. Thankfully, for European truckers, on average they drive shorter distances for shorter periods of time than their American counterparts, as legally the maximum drive time per day is 9 hours. In addition, Europe overall has a significantly lower percentage of owner-operators who live out of their truck full-time. This doesn't mean that owner-operators don't exist though, and I'm sure many of them would love to have some extra cabin space, but it's not as necessary as it is for American truck drivers who, on average, work for about 14 hours a day, 11 hours of that being on the road. So for the American, extra space and comfortability is greatly appreciated. To any real truck drivers watching this video, I just want to take the time to thank you for the work that you do. The world would absolutely fall apart without you guys on the road. But anyway, that's about it for me.
You know, I like these. These are quick, but they're informative. Make sure to check his channel out, okay? Really, really cool. And that was a quick overview. So please, I turn this to you guys for comments. You guys always comment awesome stuff, as well as suggestions in this kind of space, right? There's some more Australian, New Zealand style trucking videos I would like to check out, of course. And then also just semi-trucks in general. I think they're really fascinating. And of course, like he said, they're essential to running our world, keeping it together. And then also, this European trucking is very, very interesting to me. I would like to learn more about the trucks themselves and, of course, see videos of, type maneuvers and things. It's just all very fascinating. I quite enjoy it, if I'm being honest. So I can't wait to see your comments and suggestions on stuff like this. Make sure to smash the thumbs up button, the like button for this video, because it will help it out. I do appreciate it. And of course, subscribe to join this amazing community we have here. Also, comment down below if you do drive a truck or have driven a truck in the past. What was it like? Where did you drive? What was your experience? And how do you view trucking in Europe versus America versus Australia versus wherever? Give your 2 cents down there. I would love to hear what you have to say. Finally, guys, check that description for this original video. It will be linked down there, as well as other ways you can interact with me, support me. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Stay safe out there in the streets, and catch you later, guys.